Woods Homes will be celebrating its 20th anniversary while hosting the Never Give Up Gala this weekend. In fact, it's their first gala fundraiser since the pandemic. To provide more details on the mission behind the event and how you can be a part of the fun is Shauna Cohen. She is the development manager, not the development manager, the program manager at Woods Homes. Welcome to Bridge City News, Shauna. Great to have you on today.
Awesome. Thanks for having us. We're happy to be here.
Of course. Okay, so for those who might not know, let's talk about what Woods Homes is and what it does. It's very important in the community. In a nutshell, it's an emergency youth shelter, right?
Yeah, so Woods Homes is essentially a mental health organization. And so we are a division based out of Lethbridge. Our main organization is in Calgary, but we are like a satellite program in this area. And we've actually been in the community of Lethbridge, since I think the early 90s. We've done foster care. We reemerged in the early 2000s when we opened our shelter. That was opened in 2003. So we're actually celebrating our 20th year, as you mentioned, of offering youth shelter services in our community. But that's not really all we do here. We offer a temporary safe place to stay for young people who may be experiencing family conflict or crisis. We also offer youth support navigation services, and that's essentially connecting with young people, establishing what they need, and connecting them with the right supports at the right time. We offer family support and mediation services so that we can help reintegrate young people back into the family home to prevent further episodes of homelessness. We're just starting in opening a youth employment connections program. So we have some exciting things coming up in the community because we're actually launching a second location here. So we've got lots of services to offer.
Incredible. It's such an important service too. Shauna, how many youth can shelter there at one time?
Well, we actually have the only youth shelter in Lethbridge, and we actually have up to 8 beds at a time here.
And then what about Calgary? I know they have more than one location, and there's several other locations throughout the province as well.
Yeah, so I think we don't have our emergency youth shelter in Calgary anymore. However, we do offer agency-wide about 40 plus different services. So those can range from street services to culinary programs to social enterprise, therapeutic campus-based care, mental health crisis. I mean, you name it, we offer services when it comes to, helping young people and their families thrive in their communities. So with a focus on mental health.
And as far as the shelter goes, how long are these displaced youth allowed to stay at the home?
It's a temporary place to stay. But I think because every situation is quite unique and every, young person and their family has different circumstances, we used to say, oh, it's a 14-day stay, but, sometimes problems can't be solved in 14 days, right? So it often takes, it's a lifetime of getting to where a young person and their family are at. And so looking at the situation and figuring out what supports are needed and how we help that young person and their family move forward, it often takes a lot of time and lots of resources, patient support, collaboration with other community services. And so we basically just say, however long it takes, whatever it takes, we're here for them. And, we want families to know that we're here for you. We understand, the mental health challenges and, the housing security, the food security challenges have basically amplified since the pandemic. And so, we want people to know that we're here for them and we provide answers, support, help, direction, and all of those other things.
Right. So with that said, once they've had their stay with you and they're out, what happens from there? Do you keep connection with them? Is there some sort of follow-up throughout the months following or years, or how does it kind of work?
It definitely happens a lot. Sometimes we stay involved. Young people might initially come to our shelter, but then maybe they'll access different programs that we offer, such as our, system navigation program, or they might, want some more support in counseling with their family. So they'll work with our family and natural supports worker, right? So there might be ongoing involvement, even though they may not be still staying in the shelter. lots of times we have young people who, come and they stay a short time and, we help them with different resources and then they leave and we don't hear from them from some time, but maybe later on in life they've come back to share their successes with us. Or maybe down the road they need further help. So they come back again and they know where to go for help. So we definitely do see young people like over time and through that very important time of a transition to adulthood, right?
Yeah,
So
oh, definitely. I'm sure this happens from time to time. What happens if a youth comes in to you with a criminal record?
um, we have people that come from all walks of life.
Yeah.
I think we feel that everybody has a story, everybody has unique circumstances. Everybody is welcome. And I wouldn't say that we would discriminate based on those kinds of things. I think
No, of course not.
we would look at the situation to say, okay, like what other resources can we provide or can we help them access to help them move forward, right? Because I
Mhm.
think it's important to remember, like, people make mistakes, people have lived experiences where they've had adverse childhood experiences, abuse, trauma, like all of those things, right? And so I think there's hope for everyone and there's opportunity for everyone to move forward.
Yeah, exactly. And I'm sure that you offer supports through other agencies as well, and possibly if they need to show up at court or something like that.
Absolutely. I mean, it takes a village really, and lots of time these young people, like they need a network of supports, young people and their families, and so, that's our job is to ensure that they have the right services in place to, help better their situation.
What happens if a youth ages out? So, in other words, they turn 18 while seeking shelter with you.
So we've had lots of times where we've had young people just kind of on the cusp of 18. And so what we really try to do is to prevent further instances of homelessness. We really try to help with a transition plan, we refer them to other organizations that help specifically with housing. Lots of times, like I had mentioned, this would be a situation where our youth support navigators would also be working with a young person or the family support counselor to build a network or seek out natural supports. Um, so definitely we would not want them to graduate to adult homelessness. So we would do everything that we could to prevent adult homelessness and make sure that they have a safe and healthy place to be.
Right. Now, your shelter is from what is from age 12 to 18. So, what happens if they have siblings that are in the same situation but are under 12? What happens then? Do you send them to another resource?
Yeah, I mean, sometimes it's a challenge, right? Because of, the different walks of life people will come from. Um, and I think definitely like even 12 and staying at a shelter is pretty young to be, sometimes like mixed in with 16 and 17-year olds. But I think like as I mentioned, being that each situation is different. I mean, sometimes we would call on children and family services if there were like imminent risk or safety concerns to help support other service providers. Like that's why I say we can't always do things alone. We need to consult and kind of figure out like the how the needs fit and the best services for those people overall. But I mean, if somebody young showed up, we definitely wouldn't turn them away. We would just help to find other resources and solutions.
Okay. I know up at the front there, you kind of mentioned that you offer family support. So, that would be with the youth's parents. So, can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, I mean, we are a family-centered organization, so the goal would always be to reintegrate a young person into a home, like a stable home environment. So, the number one reason for referral to our shelter is because of family conflict. And so, if it's a situation where there's a family crisis and there's just like a time where there needs to be a break so that families can regroup and get the help that they need. If the family is willing to work with us and it's a safe place to be, and they're on board, we definitely always, will take a family first approach, and try to mitigate the challenges or the issues that that family is having that led them to the situation.
Yeah. I believe Woods Homes is nationally recognized, right? And has won some awards over the years for its service.
Yeah, we've been voted like a best place to work. We are accredited with exemplary status, and we are a nationally recognized mental health organization.
Wow. Who started it and how did it get its name?
So it was started in 1914 by Reverend George Wood. And basically, the Coles Notes version is, he and his wife, Annie Wood, would take in young people, young children, and young people when their fathers or their families went off to war. What happened in those days is sometimes sometimes the families didn't come back. And so they started actually as an orphanage in Innisfil. And from there, just services and needs and different things evolved. So we've been operating, almost 110 years. I think next year will be 110 years.
That's
So
crazy.
we've been at it a long time.
Oh, Shauna, that's a great story in itself, just how it started. Okay, so we've talked a lot about what Woods Homes is and why it exists. So let's discuss the big event coming up. So I know that you guys are kind of probably running ragged this week, especially the fund development folks that are planning this event. So let's talk about that. The gala. Tell me about the event.
Yeah, so this is a really big, exciting. We're reemerging from, as you mentioned, not being able to do this over the past couple years due to COVID. And so, we had done an annual gala dinner. It's black tie, it's fancy, it's like 3 or 4 course meal. It's meant to really showcase the work that we do, demonstrate the need to our community, and really, really ask for support of our community. And so there's a dinner, there's speakers, there's videos, there's a live and silent auction, there's a dance and a live band. So it's
Wow.
really just a fun event. And we're really, really excited to be able to be doing this again after a couple years, just doing kind of an online thing. So
Yeah.
it's going to be exciting. Yeah.
Yeah. What made this year the year to hold the gala? Why not last year when things were starting to open up a bit post COVID? Like we had Whoop Up Days and other things were beginning to happen in 2022. Why not this? Or was it just a planning thing? Sometimes it's hard.
What happened over the pandemic is like we were still considered an essential service, and so we basically put our heart and soul in really just like um, meeting the needs of the clients and families that we serve. We really focused on that. Processes changed. Lots of different things kind of were in play. And so I think we decided that doing an online auction over the past couple of years would be sort of just like a little bit easier considering like just the time and the challenges with even I think the pandemic posed a certain set of challenges, but then coming out of a pandemic posed another set of
A
challenges, right?
hundred
And
percent. Yes.
there's still residual impacts from coming out in the experience of a pandemic and like inflation and all the things. And so I think, you know, the needs just increased. So we had to still, even though we were, doing door-to-door deliveries, we were offering virtual services, we were doing all the things based on like the pandemic. I think we were in recovery last year. And I think, organization wide, we had seen an increase in mental health needs by like 20% agency wide. So I think it got busier, right? So I think now we're like, okay, we have a full-time person. We had a half-time before. We have a full-time person. We have time to devote. We have time to like reintegrate ourselves in the community. So we're showing up everywhere. We're all over the place. We're offering new services. We're at all kinds of events. And we thought, okay, you know what? This is the year like that we need to come do a comeback, I guess. So
Oh,
this is
100%.
what we're doing.
Yeah, and what a comeback it's going to be. Okay, so it's the Never Give Up Gala, right? Is there a theme to this year's gala?
Yes, it is James Bond, Diamonds Are Forever.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that means full on, like
Get your bling out.
tuxedos. Yeah, get your bling
Formal,
out there.
fancy sequins. Get all the bling. Get dressed up, and like there's a red
Oh,
carpet, and there's
wow.
pictures, and there's all kinds of things. So we're really excited. It's going to be super fancy, super fun. and lots of really great support from the community. It's being presented by Charlton and Hill. We've got all kinds of great other sponsors, Cornerstone, and some different places. And so, yeah, it's going to be really well attended. And so we're really looking forward to it.
Okay, so with that said, it's what's the date of it? Is it September
So
16th?
it's September 16th, 5 p.m. Until whenever people get tired of the band. And yeah,
Are there still tickets available? I guess that's the big question too.
you might be able to convince us if you really want to come to be able to purchase tickets. We did say the last day to purchase tickets was last Friday. But I know that sometimes the message doesn't reach everyone immediately. So I think
Yeah, and it's a good way to get the word out about what Woods Homes is. So with that said, what are you hoping to achieve through this event? Is there a monetary goal, and how are the funds going to be used?
I mean, the funds they always remain local. So the funds are always going to be used to support operations and individual supports for young people and their families in our community. So wherever the needs in the different programs are is where the money goes. As far as a monetary goal, I mean, I think we always hope to raise a significant amount of funds, but part of this is also like the awareness side of things, right? And so promoting the work, making sure people feel confident and they know that if there's help needed, that we're the place to come. So I think it's like, it's like twofold. It's the monetary piece because we all know we can't operate, fully and reach our full potential of like what we can offer without the monetary side of
Right,
things.
and I would imagine that Woods Homes mainly operates on donations and volunteers too, right?
We definitely are a nonprofit organization, but we do have throughout our organization, we do a lot of fundraising, but we also do hold contracts with the federal and provincial government for the different types of programs that we offer. We wouldn't be able to sustain it fully on just donations. So, but donations and people wanting to be involved and wanting to support definitely complement the programs because I think sometimes we have stricter budgets that are for operations and then don't always allow for unforeseen sort of needs or circumstances. And so with the support of the community, we're able to provide basic needs, essentials, all of those like unforeseen individualized supports, counseling, you name it, right? Transportation, connection, all of those things are offered because of the community's generous donation and involvement with Woods Homes.
We're certainly out of time here, but Shauna, thanks so much, and we wish you much success with the gala this weekend.
Amazing. Thank you so much for having us.
Absolutely. Shauna Cohen is the program manager at Woods Homes in Lethbridge. I'm Jeanette Roche on behalf of all of us here at Bridge City News. Thanks so much for watching.